Water is a basic need for human beings, and without it, a lot of other diseases come in.
The Rotarians in Signani Central, it was their appeal to focus on a disease called Brule ulcer. When we partner, we come up with the right answers and the right ideas.
Rotary has provided more drinking sources of water than any single NGO in Ghana.
Committee no yajuma ebe no se di Ghana ebe hwe nsu na ma atimi achere amayen.
We have done more than 50 boreholes and have gone into so many communities.
When a Rotarian makes a promise, people here truly believe that we'll keep that promise.
Really good people come together to do great things. Thank you for joining us today. Is this not an awesome day? I mean, how good is this? I mean, here we are with good friends, Wednesday lunch, and we're eating Buffalo Wild Wings. That's just like... Okay, so while we're all up standing, let's take a moment to say a warm hello to those standing here. Okay. We've got a terrific program in store for you today. If I can have you back up here, please. Look at Mike. That's great. We got a packed room. They were bringing in extra tables. That's fantastic. So leading us in invocation today will be past President Bob Sade. Jerry Dillon will lead us in song and pledge, and David Wagner will introduce our visitors. Bob?
Please join me in a moment of reflection and prayer. The gift of Rotary is evident in this room, friends all about us with special gifts to share. We ask for you to be with each and every one of us as we move out our daily lives, always keeping in mind the special talents we have. We ask your guidance to open our hearts and minds so that we may be fair and kind to those in our paths today. Let us focus on the objects of Rotary and implement these with your help. Amen.
We're going to sing a little medley from Oklahoma and then Lynn sing Oh Beautiful. So sing along with me. We're just going to sing a few lines from each song. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a wonderful feeling. Everything's going my way. Oh, Oklahoma, every night my honey lamb and I sit alone and talk and watch a hawk making lazy circles in the sky. We know we belong to the land, and the land we belong to is grand. And when we say, yell, aye-yip-aye-o-de-yay, we're only saying you're doing fine, Oklahoma, Oklahoma, okay. Oh, what a beautiful Oh, beautiful. Oh, beautiful for spacious sky, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesty above the fruited plains. America America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Jerry, I've got to tell you, the one thing I was waiting for when we were singing Oklahoma is to see the horse and the rider come across the front here. Next time. Well, I'd like to welcome all of our guests and visiting Rotarians today. We have quite a number, and that's really exciting to hear that. So as I call out the name of the host and the visiting Rotarian, you're having too much fun out there. As I call out the name of the host and the visiting Rotarian, would you both please stand so that we can welcome you and hold your applause until we get to the end of that. First of all, Ginger Homan is here today, a guest of President Mike. Ginger, if you could please stand. Welcome. We have Kara Tilley is a guest of Brandy Bynum. Kara and Tilley, welcome. We have Allison Broyles, a guest of Monica Martin. Welcome. Karen McCannell and Darlene Jordan, a guest of Barney James. Welcome, good to have you here. Cindy Salter and Liz Hollis, a guest of Lynette Potter. Welcome, good to have you here. Amanda Viles, a guest of Phil Viles. Dana McGlumphy, a guest of Jack McGlumphy. Thank you, welcome here today. Rocky Goins and Lynn Flynn, guests of Jan Lobb. Welcome, good to have you here. Jamie Seacrest, a guest of Stephanie Edwards. Guest of, over here, sorry. Welcome, good to have you here. Dylan Nall, a guest of Tim Nall, back in the corner. Tim standing up already over there. Welcome, good to have you here. Connie Pearson, a guest of Michael Willis. Good to have you here. And Vince Trinidad, guest of Tricia Kirkstra. Thank you, welcome here. And we have Lauren Clifton, guest of John Howland. Welcome. Reese Hurdley, a guest of Brian Bovard. Welcome, good to have you here. Katie Nicholas, a guest of Marlene Livaday. Guest somewhere around here, back over the corner over there. Thank you and welcome. And Brian Jewett, a guest of Phil Lakin. Brian, standing back over there. Thank you. Let's welcome all our visitors today. Welcome to those visitors, and we sure encourage you to visit us again and to join. We'd love to have you as a member. I'd also like to extend a warm welcome for the Rotary Club of Tulsa to our visiting Rotarians today. We'll hold the applause again on those individuals. Visiting today from Sand Springs, we have Justin Taki, a guest of Charles Hombre. If you could raise your welcome. Hi, Justin. Hi, Justin. And then another Sand Springs, Harlan Pinkerton from Sand Springs. Harlan, we're trying to make a run on Sand Springs membership today. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bob, Jerry, and David. Appreciate your help. And welcome visitors. So if you're looking for a place to build strong friendships, make some great business connections, realize some personal development, and serve your community, this is the place. So we'd love to have you join us. We hope you'll feel welcome today. At the Rotary Club of Tulsa, we put service above self. So I'd like to now ask you to join me in recognizing and thanking this week's Rotary sponsors, Michael Hairston with the Trust Company of Oklahoma, and Bill Richert with Richert Properties. So here at the Rotary Club of Tulsa, we're all about community service, but in our jobs we mean business. So please join me, if you will, in doing business with your fellow Rotarians. In addition to today's sponsors, please join me in thanking our volunteers whose committed services make our meetings run smoothly week after week. Thank you, volunteers. So I have some announcements here. First, I want to congratulate past president now, John Raines, and Chuck Wilson. Their efforts in membership development last year won us $500 from District 6110. There was a, yeah. So there was a contest at the end of the year from District Governor Don Dendos, and we won. So we got $500. We got to figure out how to spend. I have an idea we'll have no problem with that. So if you're reading your weekly newsletter, you may have noticed a few new items. Last week, we added a Have You Met section, and we highlighted David Downing. This week, we've highlighted Sydney Marcellus. Sydney, I've meant to tell you that before this, sorry. Sydney is the Cox Communications business-to-business sales coordinator, and she went to college at Missouri Southern State University on a volleyball scholarship. So maybe we need to put together a volleyball team and compete. Good, you're on it? Okay, good deal. And then in another edition that we added is In Case You Missed It, and it's at the bottom of the newsletter, and here you'll find links to past meetings, yellow arrow. You can just click on that and see the videos from last couple weeks' meetings. So if you haven't been taking a look at the weekly newsletter, take a look. It's pretty good. We have one committee meeting today. The 2018 IBA Awards Committee is meeting in room 233. Tricia's already got everyone going. The committee's growing. If you're looking for a place to get involved with a great leader, I would encourage you to maybe attend this meeting after the Rotary meeting today. Okay, Sarge. Charles, you are a rock star. I have got more requests in the past week for you to sing some more songs than you can imagine.
Well,
that's pretty amazing.
It's pretty amazing. I'm not sure of the honesty there, but
no, hey, is
I
it
don't
the
know.
truth?
It took me 3 months. I've thought about that song for like 3 months. It took me to get the nerve to actually sing it. So.
You did awesome.
So we're
I've
looking
gotten a
around
lot of
Thanksgiving to be
compliments
the
on
next
that.
one
Yeah.
coming up. Yeah. Thank you. That was fun. It was fun. And what else was fun is being Sergeant at Arms, so we get to collect fines. Sit down next to my new friend, Bob Linacher. You heard Catherine last year talking about Bob. And Bob, you're wonderful. Right off the bat, the guy turns to me, and he's offering me cash for his wife's birthday. Mary Carolyn turned 88 on the 5th of July. And the cool thing about it was I said, you sure you don't want to get a picture up there? And Bob looked at me and goes, well, let's just wing it. So he's already in the theme of things. So that's really wonderful. So let's get started on some pictures here, and I'm going to learn how to work this thing. All right, the first one up is Catherine. Catherine couldn't be here today. She texted me right before. Her family member had a baby, so she was more excited about being with a baby than us. I don't know why. That's a woman thing, so I scramble when I see a baby. So nonetheless, it's her 20th anniversary, Catherine and John, and she got an interesting picture up here. They were at the Rock of Gibraltar, which is where this picture of John Lennon and Yoko Ono, like as in, oh no, I broke up the Beatles. And then her John, which is kind of coincidental. And then I don't know if you know, Catherine's last name is actually, her maiden name is Oh Yes. And so that day it kind of worked out well. No? Okay. All right, we'll continue on. So much for that one. Okay.
Nice try, Charles. Nice try.
Next one. Now, Tony Oliva, thank you very much. $100 fine here. It is actually for $24 for his July 2nd birthday, and then $75 for his 25th anniversary. And they are actually at Gray's Peak out in Colorado. It's about 14,000 feet up. I do not know who traveled with them to take the picture, but hopefully they didn't leave them up there. And then $1 for whatever this was on July 5th. That comes here in a moment, Tony. So, but thank you for the extra dollar, but thank you very much. So give him a round of applause for his generosity. Next one is a shout out to our good friend Tommy Lynn in the office. She is now a grandmother. Two babies right off the bat, hitting it hard. But nonetheless, it's Clay, Kristen, and introducing Rosemary. And I heard the collective awe already, so I won't ask you to repeat that. So anyway, but very nice, Tommy Lynn. I think we're calling her Granny Lynn. Is that right? Granny Lynn. Okay, so we got a name there. Let's see. Oh, and then we are pleasant enough to have our two world travelers, Michelle Place, Karen Keith. They went to France. They rode the Golden Driller, and I believe that's our next one. Oh, too fast. Okay. And I'm going to ask Karen Keith to come on up here. I'm going to leave all jokes alone for this one.
Yeah,
I think
you better watch yourself.
there's 100 jokes there. Ed and I were joking about it earlier, and I said, it's my second week. I better leave it alone. So.
Okay, we did it 4 times. We went up and down that thing, and I did not have depends on. I did it. So
she screamed really loudly. I did not.
But while we also ended up in Switzerland, but that's another story. But this, we went to a Rotary Club in France, and that community is the home of the artist who did the Statue of Liberty. So I want to give this to our club. And it happened to be their inauguration night when they were bringing in their new president. It was really cool. And we were in a chalet in the mountains. I mean, what do you say? Anyway.
Oh. I wonder why she had sunglasses on. She's really sporting the French look. All right. All right, very good. So this segues into our next, I forgot, Sarge's picture of the week. Here we go. I found this. It says, Sarge, so what are you going to do with your engineering degree? President Mike, he has made a sombrero out of beer cans. And I think it was at Oktoberfest last year. And anyway, just so you want to know, an engineer, there's a lot more to them than just buildings and other things, right?
I mean, you had to go through the process. You had to empty the cans or it'd be too heavy, right?
Well, I noticed your neck was leaning to the right a little bit. I thought maybe you were in a little bit of pain. So anyway, so we'll
empty them all. I'm a light drinker.
So it's official. You're my first Sarge's picture of the week. So
Thank you.
We'll put that in the archives.
Yes,
all right.
please.
So that's it. So anyway, I am your Sarge. I would love to collect fines from you all. Some of you all will directly approach. I feel bad for July because July kind of hits us really fast. And if it's your birthday past, just holler at me. We'll get you taken care of. Half the thing will be behind anyway, so we'll get it taken care of. So that segues to our buffalo wing guest. And we had a buffalo wing eating contest. And I was able to get several competitors from here, and I didn't realize the competition would be so furious. I mean, these guys get a little angry and a little out of control, and I had to settle them down before we started the video. And we did actually have, Monica Martin was adamant about saying I was the winner. Now, I don't know, Brad's here. I think Brad actually digested actual bones, so we couldn't count his. And it was really frightening. And then we had an international flavor. We have a luchador from Mexico who, her name was El Iron Colon, and it was really effective to bring that international flair to us as well. And then, of course, President Mike, who, to be honest with you, I think I damaged him because I put an official hot wing, like a professional hot wing in there. He was crying. I mean, in fact, I said there's going to be no crying at Rotary this year, and so that was it. No more crying, okay? So anyway.
I hope so.
And then our favorite person, Katie, I don't know if she's ever had a buffalo wing in her life. So anyway, she did get a facial that day, and it cleaned her pores out and everything. So we'll go ahead and start this up, enjoy, and try to make sense of it. The competition, their hands are clean, they're ready to go. Let's start this thing. Ready, set, go. It's an exciting time. Monica digs right in. Look at Michael digging into that chicken wing. It's so exciting to see him do that with his buffalo wing hat. I see down here that Iron Colon, I'm sorry, is so excited about what she's doing here in the United States. It's so good to have her. And then, Brad with a small hat. It's so exciting to have him as well. He knows how to eat these things and eat them well. And then, here's pretty Katie. Katie's sitting here enjoying her wings like it's a summery afternoon with her feet wading in the waters and just excited to be alive. It's the way she eats all the time. You just didn't know that because you guys sit too far in the back at Rotary. You need to get closer to Katie. All right? We're only about 40 seconds in, people, and I don't know. There's a lot of wings left, and it's kind of fearful of what's going on. Pick it up, people. No laughing. Oh, Iron Colon. How you holding up, Mike? No, don't answer that because you're in the process of eating. You don't talk when you eat. Your mother should have taught you that. You're going to be our president. And how's Monica doing over here? She's so happy. She's so happy. You know, let's remember all the chickens that gave their lives for this situation. I think somewhere around 250 chickens have given their lives so that we could have this contest. It's a really nice effort for the chickens, and we want to appreciate them. We'll have a memorial later on. I don't think we'll video that though. How are we doing? How much time left, Alicia? We got time?
30 seconds.
30 seconds more.
30 seconds, folks.
Come on.
Crunch
oh my
time.
gosh. President Mike, you're embarrassing yourself.
This is disgraceful.
Oh my gosh.
Get to eating.
Iron Cola, she's disappointed her homeland. Look at Bradley, he is on fire with ability. I can't tell who's got more. And there's Katie, she's still enjoying it. She's got her pretty hands. You know, this is a face-off here. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Put those wings down. Wow. Get a close-up of their face. Can you get a close-up? Look at it. Hold up their hand out. Oh, Mike, he looks like he's in a lot of trouble. Mike, are you okay? No. No? I'm not. Are you physically damaged? Yes. Yeah, I should have put that really hot wing in there. Okay. How are you doing, Monica? I think I got it. Good. Who needs lipstick when you got that? I mean, seriously, this is wonderful. Well, here's the exciting part, is that it was just for fun. There's no contest. Nobody wins anything. But we did have a great time. We're looking forward to hearing Sally Smith speak to us today. Have a wonderful, wonderful Rotary meeting.
So first of all, thank you to all the contestants, and it is a very competitive group. Second of all, I think I should explain. That was like the hottest thing I've ever had in my mouth. And you know, so there were like 12 of these in that basket, and I'm kind of going along, you know, thinking, okay, this is okay. I had to even up the hot level a little bit than I normally eat. And then on that last one, holy cow, it was. And then they brought out some ice cream afterwards, and it felt cool, but tasted like Buffalo Wild Wings. So. But it was fun. It was great fun. We had a good time, and thanks to Buffalo Wild Wings and helping us out and whatnot. It was great fun. Okay, with that, I will introduce our Rotarian of the Day, Mr. Tim Caldwell. Tim is the Tulsa Community Outreach Business Partner for Williams. He joined our club in 1985, and he was president of our club 10 years ago, 2007, 2008. Tim is a Paul Harris Fellow, a benefactor, and a Club Foundation Fellow. And Tim is one of only 19 to be selected for the James G. Sade Service Above Self and Then Some Award. Please join me in welcoming Tim to the podium.
Thank you, President Mike. Well, what a great year we already are kicking off. And as chair of the 2017-2018 Programs Committee, it's my pleasure to introduce our very first speaker in a year of outstanding programs that really has become the standard of our 102-year-old Rotary Club of Tulsa. Well, Sally Smith is a nationally recognized CEO who broke the glass ceiling to take her Minneapolis-based publicly held company to new heights. Sally has led Buffalo Wild Wings as president and CEO for the past 21 years, steering its growth from a small regional restaurant chain to an international brand with more than 1,200 restaurants in 50 states and 7 countries. She first joined Buffalo Wild Wings as chief financial officer in 1994 when it was a fledgling chain of about 35 restaurants. 2 years later, she was promoted to president and CEO. Sally had a successful career even before she joined Buffalo Wild Wings. She graduated from the University of North Dakota with a Bachelor of Science degree in business administration and accounting. She then earned her CPA and was hired by the international accounting and consulting firm KPMG. After a few years, Sally joined the leadership group at Miracle Ear, the hearing aid company, where she worked her way up to chief financial officer and spent 10 years helping to grow that company before joining Buffalo Wild Wings. Sally has earned numerous business and industry honors, including the restaurant industry's highest awards. This past year has been particularly challenging for Buffalo Wild Wings, as the restaurant industry has struggled with weak sales and traffic, and the chain became the target of an activist investor. We're going to hear more about that today. But as you will also hear, overcoming challenges isn't anything new to Sally or for Buffalo Wild Wings. So please join me in giving a warm Tulsa Rotary welcome to the President and CEO of Buffalo Wild Wings, Sally Smith.
Well, thank you, Tim, and good afternoon, everyone. I sure loved watching that video, and I have to say congratulations to everyone who participated. It's a badge of honor. I've done the wing eating contest, and I agree. It's, you know, they go along pretty well until those last few ones, and whoa, it then hits you. So, anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed their lunch. I could smell the wings when I walked in, so I knew that they had arrived. And I want to thank the Buffalo Wild Wings team members who did such a great job with the food today. Yes. The owner of one of our Tulsa locations is our franchisee, Ed Lynn, and who is coincidentally, while I'm here in Tulsa, Ed is attending meetings in Minneapolis, which is my home base. And so really funny, he was planning on being here today, and he's very sorry about that, but I did have dinner with Ed on Sunday in Minneapolis. I also want to acknowledge my friend and mentor, Michael Johnson. He lives here in Tulsa, had a long career with Williams, and introduced me, frankly, to the Rotary Club. Michael and I worked together for the last decade as he was a member of the board of Buffalo Wild Wings and just recently announced his retirement as well in June. It's always a special honor for me to spend time with Michael, as I've learned so much from him. And Tulsa is truly lucky to have individuals like Michael who help advance your community. So Michael, thank you for your graciousness. Last week in the Wall Street Journal, there was an article about how activist investors, new technologies, and rival upstarts have made the CEO's job tougher and more precarious. Well, I can agree with that. In the article, a leadership expert gave an analogy about how the role of a CEO has evolved. She said that a decade ago, the CEO was like a ship captain who could rally a group of people with process and procedures, but that today's CEO has to be more like a race car driver doing sharp maneuvers. And that's an interesting analogy, but I don't think it applies only to CEOs. It applies to all of us as business leaders. As competition has increased and technology has created a new set of customer expectations, we all need to be able to quickly adapt and change to deliver what our customers want. Change has been a continuous part of Buffalo Wild Wings history, and that's not new. What is new is the pace of change accelerated by technology. Today, I'm going to share a brief look back at how Buffalo Wild Wings has evolved, discuss some of the challenges we're facing today, and look at some of the ways we plan to win in this rapidly changing marketplace. Along the way, I'll share a bit of my own story, including my recent decision to retire later this year. The Buffalo Wild Wings story started with two friends, Jim Disbrow and Scott Lowry, who had this crazy idea of opening a Buffalo, New York-style wing restaurant in Ohio in the early 1980s. Keep in mind, this was a time when few people outside of Buffalo even knew that chicken wings were a thing. While he was still in college, Scott wrote a business plan for Buffalo Wild Wings as a class project. Here's a video of him telling the story for our 30th anniversary celebration in 2012. Let's watch.
I actually wrote about
doing Buffalo Wild Wings when I was in college in my senior year for a retailing class I was taking. In the class, you were supposed to write a paper in a group project with 2 or 3 people, defining a business and everything that came with that business. I'm so proud to show you is the actual grade and report from the teacher giving me a 72.4 on the project, which was a D plus C minus grade. And it wrote at the bottom, good luck, I hope it flies.
Yes, that's how we started. Well, you would think that would be that college paper would be the end, but it wasn't. Jim and Scott actually used it as part of a prospectus to find investors. Well, they had to do a lot of talking, and they did find a couple people to invest. They found a restaurant location near The Ohio State University in Columbus, and in 1982, they opened their first restaurant. Here's what it looked like. I will tell you, if you didn't see it, the professor wrote, "Hope it flies," on his paper, and I always wonder if he's watched the success of the company. You'll notice that the name was Buffalo Wild Wings and Weck, and the Weck was short for Kimmelweck, which is a Kaiser roll topped with kosher salt and caraway seed. Buffalo Wild Wings' early menu featured beef on Weck sandwiches, which also originated in Buffalo, New York. So now you know where the third W comes from if you ever hear someone refer to us as BW3. At this little college campus hangout, Jim and Scott tried to create a fun, engaging atmosphere. They had one TV behind the bar, usually turned to MTV for background music. You see, cable was just starting in its heyday, and MTV was the first channel. Many people didn't have cable, so they'd come in and watch MTV. But if it was a Saturday afternoon and Ohio State was playing, guests would ask, "Why don't you have the TV on? Or why don't you have the game on?" Well, our founders did everything they could to keep their guests happy, so they changed the channel. Eventually, as ESPN developed and became more popular and sports programming increased, we found our sports bar niche. Over the next 12 years or so, Jim and Scott grew the company to about 35 restaurants, mainly franchise locations. By then, they had nicknamed the company BW3 and had a logo that looked like this. The founders wanted to expand the company. They were looking for someone to come in and straighten out the books and help them find investors who would help them fund their growth plans. And that's where I entered the story. It just so happened that I was looking for a new opportunity around the same time. As Tim mentioned, I was the chief financial officer at Miracle-Ear, the hearing aid company. But Miracle-Ear had been sold to a larger company the year before, and I found that I didn't really like working for a small division of a large company. It was like having lived on your own for 15 years and moving back in with your parents. And then learning you had a curfew. I was offered the position as chief financial officer for Buffalo Wild Wings. I had a few other job offers, but this little restaurant chain really intrigued me, despite the fact that I would be taking a huge pay cut. You know, I'm not a risk taker by nature, at least I never thought I was, but I took a leap of faith and accepted the job. My job was to straighten out the books and seek investors for the business. Ultimately, our founders and their few existing investors wanted to take the company public. In fact, I found out after I was hired that Jim had told his investors that the company would be going public within a year. I joined in 1994. Jump ahead, 2003 was when we actually went public. I also found out after I was hired just how precarious the financial situation was. There was no list of accounts, financial statements, or even a general ledger. Bills were paid using Quicken. And on top of that, the IRS was auditing the company because they had failed to file their tax returns for the last 3 years, despite having more than 500 employees at the time. Fortunately, the founders had earned quite a following of loyal guests, and without those loyal guests, I'm pretty sure the company wouldn't have survived. After two years after I joined the company, I was promoted to CEO. My promotion didn't exactly follow the typical routine. The company's board of directors had decided to make the decision to go outside to hire a new CEO from the outside with restaurant experience to help lead our growth. The company used a well-known recruiting firm that specialized in restaurant placements, and we went through all the steps of interviewing and the hiring process. We brought in several candidates to interview and meet the board of directors, and we negotiated an employment agreement with the top candidate. We were all set, except for one thing. The Monday the new CEO was supposed to start, he didn't show up. He had changed his mind. Well, I was the main point of contact, so I called several of the board members and told them what had happened and that we needed to meet to figure out what to do next. It was during the meeting that one of them said to me, "Well, you'll just have to do it." And so I did. Just goes to show that the first step in having a successful career is showing up. And I will say, I do get notes once in a while from that person who's still in the restaurant industry about his lost opportunity. Over the next few years, I was able to hire a few key leaders and began to build a small home office to help support our growth. Although we'd been profitable since 1996, the biggest challenge during those years before we went public was that we had no cash. At our tiny home office, we had no workstations, so new employees had to bring their own tables and chairs if they wanted to work for us. And I think we hired the payroll person because she had her own typewriter. These are true stories. The survival of our business was literally day to day. There were times when we relied on receiving a franchise fee in order to meet the next week's payroll. The mid to late 1990s is a time, as I'll always remember, as our quest for cash. Cash, as we sought investors to help us grow. If you think back on the time, the late 1990s, money was flowing in the investment community. It was just flowing to all of the dot-coms. Well, we were in desperate need of money, and it was really a catch-22. We didn't have a compelling story to attract investment money, but we needed investment money in order to develop a more compelling story. To make a very long story short, let's just say that with discipline, diligence, and perseverance, and a lot of luck, we managed to cobble together enough money to refresh our restaurants, update our logo, and launch new marketing. In 2003, we finally drummed up enough interest with investment banks to launch a successful initial public offering. We raised $51 million, which gave us the cash to build our infrastructure and greatly accelerate our growth. As in the following years following the IPO, as Tim mentioned, our growth has skyrocketed from about 220 restaurants to more than 1,250 restaurants in all 50 states. And Tim mentioned 7 countries. Well, on Monday, we opened our first restaurant in Vietnam, so we're now in 8 countries. And last year, thank you. Last year, we recorded $3.7 billion in system-wide sales. Buffalo Wild Wings has come a long way since that first restaurant on the Ohio State campus. We've achieved a lot, but we've never let ourselves become complacent. We always look to the future and how we can keep getting better. And that's especially important in today's challenging restaurant marketplace. An oversupply of restaurants, competition everywhere, from grocery stores to Amazon, and a huge shift in how consumers think about food are bringing challenges across the industry. Retail, of course, has felt the same shift. Technology has disrupted many of our businesses. It's changed the way we interact with customers, the way we choose to get our products. How many of you get your groceries or your daily and weekly needs from Amazon? And most of all, it's changed the expectations of our customers and our guests. Consumers are increasingly looking for customization, speed, convenience, and value. For years, Buffalo Wild Wings focused on creating a unique, fun, social experience inside our restaurants. Today, there are times that people still don't want to cook, but they don't want to go out to a restaurant either. I was reading a research report this morning that said, dining in is the new dining out. So we've expanded our view of the sports fan market and created a new business development team to help build sales by meeting fans where they are, even if it's at home on the couch. We're looking at many different business opportunities that will deliver long-term growth for our business. 3 examples are nationwide delivery, small format locations, and retail. First, delivery. There was a day when we wouldn't have even considered delivery because we wanted to keep the focus on the experience inside our restaurants. But what we've learned from our research is that if a customer wants delivery, they've already decided they're not going out to eat that night. And if a restaurant isn't on that list of places that deliver, you're going to lose that sale. So we've worked quickly over the past year to develop partnerships with third-party delivery services like DoorDash and Grubhub. And we've seen tremendous growth in this area. We have it in about 300 restaurants. We're just kind of following Grubhub and DoorDash as they expand into a market. Chances are we have a Buffalo Wild Wings and you'll see delivery on the menu. It's an area that we think has tremendous growth, but there's still a lot of work to be done as it's quite expensive, that delivery fee that the restaurants pay in order to be included. Our second example of how we're thinking about growth is small format. Small format would be about 2,000 to 2,400 square feet, and we just recently announced our plans to pilot 2 new small format restaurants in Minneapolis in the metro market this summer. And we're calling those restaurants B-Dubs Express. They'll offer our wings and all of our sauces and flavors, but with a streamlined menu, counter service, along with a few TVs, still having that sports-filled environment. And the small dine-in area will seat 35 to 50 people. This smaller restaurant format will help us meet consumers' growing interest in takeout and at-home dining, as well as create new real estate options, such as urban markets. It's very difficult in New York City or Chicago or Los Angeles to find 5,400 to 6,000 square feet. So this is a great infill opportunity for us. Our third example is retail. People love our wing sauces, even if they are hot, and our seasonings and our flavorful food. And we're exploring how we can put Buffalo Wild Wings brand in retail places so people can enjoy another way to have B-Dubs at home. These are just 3 of the many ideas that the team is developing as we deliver what the fan wants. But we're also trying to anticipate what the fan will want, even if they don't know it themselves. There's a great quote by auto industry icon Henry Ford. He said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. It's like the iPhone. Before it came out, we probably would have all said we wanted faster and better Blackberries. So we're trying to discover the restaurant equivalent of offering fans something that they don't even know they want yet. And I'm excited about the opportunities for Buffalo Wild Wings. I have to admit, when I took that leap of faith and joined Buffalo Wild Wings back in 1994, I never in my wildest dreams imagined achieving this level of success. It's been a privilege leading this phenomenal company and this growth story, together with a fantastic leadership team. I've been fortunate to work with them for over a decade, and I do credit our success and growth of our company to the stable leadership throughout these years. I was talking with Tim earlier, and I said we employ about 100,000 people across the United States. And just rolling out a menu is difficult. Imagine if they had to roll out a new strategy every single year because they had a new leadership. So I've been very fortunate in that regard. We have an amazing team of leaders with a clear strategic vision, and it's so exciting for me personally to see the talent and the passion around that next level of leaders who will take Buffalo Wild Wings to new heights. Before I close, I want to say just a couple of words about our recent proxy vote and my planned retirement. You've probably read something about the proxy contest. I certainly was reading about Williams during the same time. It seems that when you're targeted by an activist, all of a sudden any articles related to those facing activist campaigns jump out at you. So you've probably had a chance to read a little bit about it, but I thought you might be interested in the story behind the story. One of our shareholders, Mercado Capital Management, launched a proxy fight against our company in February. They'd taken a position with the company about a year ago, and they had nominated 4 new directors to replace sitting directors. Our board did go through the due diligence process of interviewing those directors nominated, and they did add one of their nominated directors to our slate that would be voted on at our annual meeting this past June. Well, as events unfolded at the annual meeting, I made the decision that it would be in the best long-term interest of the company for me to establish a timeline for my retirement. I knew I was going to be retiring sooner or later, so I decided to withdraw my name from consideration for re-election to the board. So I announced my decision at the meeting, which probably surprised quite a few people. But in the end, there was a positive outcome for the company. Although many articles reported that Mercado won control of the board, in reality, 7 of the 9 candidates on our board slate were elected, including 2 tenured directors with leadership positions. This was really important to me as I consider Buffalo Wild Wings my baby, and I want someone who can be able to help guide it for the next 35 years. Well, now the proxy vote is behind us, and the entire board will be focused on the future success of Buffalo Wild Wings, and I'm committed to helping in whatever way I can. I'm also committed to ensuring a smooth transition to the next CEO. The search for that person is underway. It's not something that will happen overnight. I had to laugh when a team member came up to me right after the annual meeting on that Friday and said, "So what are you going to do on Monday?" I said, "Well, I have a full day of meetings." So I think they thought I just wasn't going to show up. But I'm there until we find the right person who can fit the culture and recognize the growth opportunities of the company. As for what's next for me after B-Dubs, well, I really am looking forward to retirement. I do plan to stay active in the business world with continued involvement in a couple of boards that I serve on, and by continuing to advocate for our industry, among other things. I'm a strong believer that the restaurant industry has untapped potential. It's often where we get our first, where people have their first job. In fact, I think it's 25 or 50% of all adults have worked in a restaurant at some time in their life. I like to say we train America. We teach kids how to show up on time, how to dress, how to interact with the public. And if you don't have a first job, you're not going to get that second job. I also plan to do some traveling that is not business related. But best of all, I'm going to get to spend some time with my 2 awesome grandchildren, ages 3 and 1. For now, there's work to be done, and I'm committed to doing all I can to help Buffalo Wild Wings to continue to grow and thrive and meet the changing needs of today's fans. Whether I'm at the helm or cheering from the sidelines, I'm very excited about what's ahead. I'd like to thank you again for the invitation to share the Buffalo Wild Wings story. It's hard to condense 23 years into 20 minutes, but I hope you've learned a little bit about the story behind the story. Thank you so much, and if we have a couple minutes, I am more than happy to answer a couple of questions. So thank you. Yes? You know, we're among some of the highest in the country. I think our 14-year average shareholder return is something about 1,750%. So very pleased. I think if you had bought stock, if you bought $100 or $1,000 worth of stock, it was worth something like $176,000 today. So we've had tremendous success, and I was telling Tim, one of the things I don't do, and Michael knows that, is I don't watch our stock price. I know what it is about once a quarter when we do our earnings call, and we've always been focused on the long term. And I said our stock price is going to go up and down as long as it's going up steadily over time. That's what I need to be focused on. So great returns, great. It's been a great run. Yes?
What was that decision, or when was the decision from Columbus
Well, that's a good question as well. As you can imagine, they didn't have much support for these 35 restaurants they had. So when they brought me on in 1994, Jim, one of the founders, had actually been commuting back and forth. He'd married someone in Minneapolis. And we decided with technology, we'd open a second office. Well, we didn't really open an office. I borrowed an office from a friend of mine. And then I hired Mary Twynham, our former chief financial officer, who just retired, and her office was in the closet. And, we just, started adding people, and it made sense to add in Minneapolis, so it just kind of happened over time. Yes? It does not. It does not look the same. So I will first answer that question, and it's a block away. It's right at the entrance to Ohio State Stadium. The area was going under redevelopment, so the building was taken as part of that redevelopment. But they definitely came to us and said, "We still want you to be here," and it's a really beautiful facility. Yes, in the back. That's a good question as well. We're slightly over 50% of our stores are company-owned, so I think we have about 675. Our stores in Canada are company-owned, and the rest of our international is franchised. Yes?
What changes have you seen in employees hiring over the last 10, 20 years?
What change have I seen in employee hiring? I should have been repeating those questions, sorry. There's still, it's harder to hire people today, frankly. A lot of people, I'm not trying to say everyone's like that, but I don't know that they all want to start at that beginning level. If we can get to them and we talk about the opportunities, talk about the management opportunities, how they learn is significantly different. They want it on their phone or their iPad. So how we're training and the training we're developing is changing. I think that they're more transitory, so they're not spending as much time moving up through the ranks is how I'd answer that. Well, Michael. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. That's an inspiring story. I love stories where people take a leap of faith and it works out, so good for you. So, as we told you, a book recognizing today's program will be presented to our adopted school, Celia Clinton Elementary, and we thank you for putting an inscription in there. I'd also like to, again, take this time to thank our Ryan Hartman and Jeremy Reynolds. If you two will stand up maybe for our, yeah. I think Jeremy's the one that put that hot wing in my box, if I remember right. Yeah. Okay. A couple quick things. MSNI, sign up for the raffles on your table. We're starting to raffle off the Mercedes again, so if you want to sign up for that and make a donation to the Medical Supply Network. And then for those of you that brought potential member guests today, remember we're going to have a drawing we have $800 worth of Buffalo Wild Wings cards that a very generous Rotarian purchased so you'll be hearing from us. Yeah, and maybe they'll be showing up at your store there, Jeremy, hopefully. Okay, upcoming programs. Next week is Philip Montgomery, TU football coach, so wear your TU blue. And then the next week is Jay Vincent. He's a management consultant to business and organizations. and he's founder of Outreach Experts. So those, again, following up with two more great speakers, Tim. Good job, good job. So thank you all for attending today, and now I encourage you to go out, tell your Rotary story, and please bring a friend to Rotary next week. We are dismissed.